we started a new chapter from 12th NCERT, chapter number 10. It is microbes in human welfare. In the previous lecture, we discussed introduction, means how do bacteria appear, how do viruses appear, how to culture them and all we discussed in lecture number 1. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about some useful beneficial activities of microorganisms. So, when we tell bacteria, so immediately what comes into a common man mind is, oh, bacteria, it causes so and so disease. Typhoid is a bacterial disease. Tuberculosis is a bacterial disease. Leprosy is a bacterial disease. So like that, when you talk about a bacteria or a fungi, what comes into everyone's mind is the pathogenic nature. But don't think that all the microorganisms are pathogenic, they're disease causing. There are many microorganisms which have beneficial uses also. So they are helpful to the mankind also. Like microorganisms are used in our day-to-day life, curd production we can tell, bread making we can tell. Industrial uses also we have for microorganisms, antibiotic production we can tell. In sewage treatments also microorganisms have a role. In manufacturing chemicals also bacteria has a role. And in manufacturing of therapeutics also, in biogas production also microorganisms have a role. That is all about our chapter, right? So we are going to study one by one topic in detail. So we can tell that microorganisms are friends also, they are foes also, means they are helpful also, they are harmful also. Okay, so now our today's topic is 10.1 microorganisms in household products. So our today's topic is 10.1 microbes in household products, right? Now this is our today's topic. Let us have an understanding on this topic today. Now you might be surprised to know that we use microorganisms or we use the products of the microorganisms in our day-to-day life. Okay, so what am I talking about? I am telling that, like, you will get surprised if I tell curd contains bacteria, idli dosa contains bacteria, bread what we eat contains bacteria. So there are so many products what we use in our day-to-day life contains microorganisms. So we take sanitizers, we sanitize our hands and we tell that we are sterilized, our hands are sterilized, but we are consuming microorganisms through diet, in the form of diet, in the form of food supplements also, right? So that means there are some microorganisms which are beneficial and we intendedly will grow them and we consume them as sources of food, as sources of energy, that we are going to talk today. So what are the microorganisms or what are the microbial products which we use in day to day? So we'll start, if you want me to list down, I'll first list down them. So one is curd, we can tell. Another one is idli and dosa also we can talk about. Then next we can talk about bread production. In bread production also microorganisms are involved, and in some traditional drinks, toddy preparation also microorganisms, in religious cultures and all, they use this toddy as a traditional drink in southern part of India only. That also we can tell. Fermented fish and fermented bamboo, fermented soya bean also comes here. So we need to talk about fermented fish, fermented bamboo and fermented soya bean also we consume. And not only this, we take cheese also, right? Cheese is also microbial product. So we can talk about cheese making. So all these are the things we are going to discuss in our class today one by one. Let us start with the first product. What is that, children? It is curd. How many of you like curd? It's actually good. It's nutritionally rich when compared to milk. Now, in the curd, which bacteria can we find? In curd, we find lactobacilli. And we find one bacteria which is called lactobacilli and other bacteria which are called LAB, lactic acid bacteria altogether. So in curd we find lactobacilli and other we call them as LAB. What do you mean by LAB? Lactic acid bacteria, right? So, what this lactobacilli and lactic acid bacteria will do? They will help in conversion of milk to curd. They help in conversion of a liquid milk into a solidified product called curd. How does the process occurs? We will discuss. Now, milk contains a sugar. What is the sugar present in the milk? The sugar present in the milk is lactose. Now, this lactose is converted to lactic acid. The bacteria, they will convert the sugar lactose into lactic acid. Got it? They're converting lactose into lactic acid. Now, this lactic acid, it creates acidic environment. It creates acidic environment. In the acidic environment, there is a milk protein. The name of the milk protein, you know what is the name of the milk protein? It is called casein. The name of the milk protein is called casein. Now, this casein is soluble. You cannot see it. But when once the milk becomes acidic, in that acidic medium, the casein gets converted to paracaseinate or calcium paracaseinate. Casein in this acidic medium, it gets converted to calcium paracaseinate. It gets converted to calcium paracaseinate. I told casein earlier was soluble in the milk. You are not able to notice it. But this calcium paracaseinate gets crystallized. It becomes solid. So, this is soluble, it is liquid, and this became solid. This is what is curd. This is what is curd. Understood? So, then the bacteria are growing here, right? Which bacteria? Lactic acid bacteria and lactobacilli are growing. So, if you want to convert milk into curd, you will add previous curd sample. You will add. What is that called? It acts as an inoculum. You will add previous curd sample, which is called as inoculum, which contains these organisms. And we will heat the milk and we will close the container. Heating will provide optimal conditions for the growth of the bacteria. Closing the container will provide the fermentation conditions, anaerobic conditions, because these bacteria, if they have to make acid, then they have to give fermentation. When you open it, aerobic conditions will be there. It cannot make curd. So, try and see at home. So, take boiled milk. In that boiled milk, add curd, but don't close the container. Keep it open. Fermentation will not happen. Curd will not be formed. Okay, it will be like liquid only. Means the process what is happening here is fermentation. Fermentation means anaerobic conditions. Anaerobic condition means no oxygen. That means you have to seal it with a lid so that anaerobic conditions will be maintained. Why are you heating the milk? We are heating the milk so that bacteria requires some optimal temperature to grow, and this is the process behind conversion of milk to curd. Since the bacteria are growing in curd, the bacteria start producing vitamin B12 into the curd. The bacteria will start producing vitamin B12 into the curd. Now, vitamin B12 is very important for blood formation. For hemopoiesis, vitamin B12 is very much required. So, that means in terms of nutritional value, we tell that curd is more nutritious than milk. Why? Since it is having vitamin B12. So, we can make a statement that curd is more nutritious than milk. We can tell that curd is more nutritious than milk because curd has vitamin B12. Not only this, now when a person is ill, the doctor asks to take buttermilk or the doctor asks to eat curd rice. Why are they asking us to eat this buttermilk? Means they know that the curd and the buttermilk contains lactobacilli and lactic acid bacteria. So, they go into the intestine and they colonize in the intestine and they will not give space for the pathogenic organisms to grow inside. Means they check lactic acid bacteria, they act as probiotics. Lactic acid bacteria, they act as probiotics. Means they will grow in our body and they will not give space for the pathogenic organisms to grow. So one important point about curd, we are telling it is more nutritious. It supplies vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 helps in blood formation. And the second one, we are telling that curd acts as probiotic. What do you mean by probiotic? Any sample which has useful microorganisms is called probiotic. Means the bacteria which are present in the curd, so will check the growth of disease causing organisms. So the bacteria check the growth of, they check the growth of disease causing organisms. They will not give space for the disease causing organisms to grow. Children understood about the first useful product in which we are telling that lactobacilli and lactic acid bacteria are involved. Take a screenshot, then we'll talk about the second product, idli and dosa. Okay then, can I go to the second product now? What is that called? Idli and dosa. Idli and dosa are also fermented products only. Like curd, which is a fermented product, idli and dosa are also fermented products only. Now, if you have seen your mother grinding the paste, now what are the ingredients which are present in idli and curd? Tell me, idli and dosa. So, they grind rice with black gram dal. Okay, so they make it into a paste. They make it into a paste. They add salt for sure. After grinding it in a grinder or in a mixie, so we add salt and you need to close the container. We need to add salt. We need to close the container since it is fermentation. Airborne bacteria are there. Examples of the airborne bacteria which go and deposit here are Leuconostoc, Streptococcus and Bacillus. Now, in making idli and dosa, what are the airborne bacteria which come and enter this paste? I am telling one is Leuconostoc and another one is Streptococcus. Third one is Bacillus. Now, these three bacteria which are airborne bacteria, so they grow in that medium. So, dal contains protein, rice contains starch. The bacteria start breaking those starch and proteins. They do fermentation. So, what do? The bacteria ferment starch. They ferment starch and they generate alcohol and carbon dioxide. So, rice contains starch. These bacteria, they ferment the starch and they make alcohol and carbon dioxide. The fluffiness nature for that idli, like idli has gas bubbles, right? Dosa also has that bubbles. It is because of the carbon dioxide. So, the raising of the dough, when you make idli dosa, so you will keep this much only, but early morning, next day morning, 8 to 12 hours when you ferment it, it will raise this much. The raising of the dough is because of the carbon dioxide. The fluffiness is again because of the carbon dioxide. The bitterness or the soreness is because of the alcohol. And what are idli dosa? Idli dosa, they come under fermented foods. They come under fermented foods. Now, if it is fermented by microorganisms, nutritional value will enhance, flavor will enhance, and they can be easily digested also. So, understood, Amma, about curd, which is our first product, idli and dosa, which is our second product. Now, third one is bread. Now, let us talk about bread also then. Right? Now, we use wheat flour, right, for making bread. We use wheat flour. So, we knead it and we make a dough. in that we are going to add yeast. The yeast which we add in making bread is called as baker's yeast. It is called as baker's yeast. Its scientific name is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the name of the yeast which is involved in making the bread. This yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it produces 3 enzymes. Like the first enzyme is amylase amma. The second enzyme is maltase. The third enzyme is zymase. So the yeast produces 3 enzymes: amylase, maltase, zymase. Now the wheat flour contains starch. Starch is acted upon by amylase. Starch is broken down by amylase. Then we get maltose. Now maltose is acted upon by maltase. When maltose is acted upon by maltose, we get glucose. Now this glucose is acted upon by zymase. The glucose is acted upon by zymase. Then glucose is broken down by zymase into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Then we get ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide as the products. Now in bread, right? So these spaces are carbon dioxide gases, right? And the bread will be sour in taste because of alcohol. And the raising of the dough and these bubbles are because of the carbon dioxide gas which got generated. And bread is also fermented food only. Bread is also fermented food only. Understood, children? So we finished about the first one, curd. The bacteria which is involved is LAB, lactic acid bacteria. The second one is idli and dosa. The microorganisms involved are Leuconostoc, Streptococcus, Bacilli. All these 3 are bacteria only. In bread, yeast is involved. The name of the yeast is baker's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So wheat contains starch. Amylase breaks the starch into maltose. Then maltase enzyme breaks the maltose into glucose. Zymase enzyme breaks the glucose into alcohol and carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is responsible for raising the dough. Take a screenshot, then we will go and discuss about toddy. Right? So our fourth product is toddy. Now I told you that toddy is a traditional fermented drink available in southern India, and they extract it from palm trees. Okay, on the villages, in villages, did you see toddy palm tree? Did you see a tree which is having leaves like this? What is it called? It is called toddy palm, Caryophyllene. Right? So like this, the tree will be there, and here it has the fruits. From coconut also they extract it, but usually from this plant they extract it. So this, what is this plant called? This plant is called as toddy palm. The plant is called toddy palm. It is called Caryota, scientific name Caryota, Caryota. It is called Caryota uranus, Urenes. Okay. Now this is the trunk. In the trunk, xylem and phloem will be there. Xylem will conduct water, phloem will conduct the food. Now, if you think this is a food conducting tissue, what is it called? Phloem. In the phloem, sucrose will be there. The plant food is sucrose. So it will manufacture food by photosynthesis, and in the phloem tubes it will store sucrose. Now what we will do is, we will cut the trunk here little bit, will damage with the sickle, we will damage, and then here we take a pot and we tie it. We keep a pot and we tie it. You have damaged the phloem there and you tied a pot there. So from the phloem the sucrose starts coming and it gets collected in the pot. The sucrose starts coming and it gets collected in the pot. So sucrose, what it is? It is a sugar solution. Now air contains microorganisms. Those microorganisms, they break the sucrose and they make alcohol. Excuse me. This alcohol is natural alcohol and the alcohol content will be very less. 6% alcohol only will be there. So this traditional drink, which is extracted from toddy palm, scientific name is Caryota uranus, is called as toddy. Now let's write down about the fourth product. What is it called, children? It is called toddy. What is toddy? It is traditional drink in South India. So it is extracted. It is extracted from palm trees. Now what are the examples of palm tree? The first example is toddy palm. What is toddy palm called? Caryota uranus. What is it called? Caryota uranus. And the second one is called coconut palm. Coconut palm, scientific name is Cocos nucifera. C-O-C-U-S. Cocos nucifera. So I told you how they do that procedure. Now they take a pot and then they damage the phloem and they tie the pot there. From the phloem, the sucrose solution gets collected. From the air, bacteria will go inside. They ferment that sucrose, make alcohol, and the alcohol content in toddy will be around 6%. It will be around 6% only. Got it? Understood? Now let's go to the next one, fermented fish. So our fifth one is fermented fish. Now fermented fish in other countries, not in India, in other countries, from fermented fish they make sausages, and for fermenting the fish they use microorganisms. For fermented fish, microbes are used. And this fermented fish is used to make sausages. In China, Japan and all, they use these sausages. Next one is fermented bamboo. Fermented bamboo. Now, young tender bamboo also is used as vegetable, and fermented bamboo sticks, they will dig it inside the soil and they'll allow it to ferment. Microorganisms, bacteria and fungi will grow in that bamboo sticks. Later they use that bamboo sticks in making the vegetables, in making curries. That's called fermented bamboo. So both the ways we can use. We can use young bamboo also. We can use young bamboo also as vegetable, or we can use fermented bamboo also in making dishes. Right? Microorganisms, bacteria and fungi are involved here. Next one is fermented soybean. Fermented soybean. From fermented soybean, we make many products like temph, tofu, sufu, like that. From fermented soybean, we make many products like, one is called temph, other one is called tofu, other one is called sufu. In China, Japan, they use these things. So they use it in preparation of, again, sausages. Now from where do they prepare all these things? From fermented soybean. And what we know is that black colored soya sauce, right? In making that soya sauce also, fermented soybeans are only used. So for making that brown salted soya sauce. In making that brown salted soya sauce also, what do we use? Microorganisms are only used. Microbes are used. You know what is that fungi which is used in making fermented this soya sauce? It is called as Penicillium glaucum. Penicillium GLACUM is used in making fermented soya sauce. Okay, children. So, is it difficult? No, right? In curd, lactobacilli. Idli dosa, Leuconostoc streptococcus. In bread, yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. In toddy, so they did not tell the name. Remember the process. Now, in fermented fish, again they did not trouble us. They did not tell the name. In bamboo also, they did not tell the name. In fermented soybean sauce, Penicillium glaucum. You want me to write the complete name of Penicillium? Penicillium glaucum it is. Take a screenshot. Then we will talk about cheese also. Right? So, our last product in this topic is cheese. Let us quickly talk about cheese also. Right. So, I think we are talking about the 7th product. Cheese. Cheese is the oldest microbial product. It is the oldest microbial product. And we tell it is an oldest product of cottage industry also. Cheese industry is called cottage industry. It is the oldest product of cottage industry. It is the oldest, you will get confused. So, let me rub this also. Oldest product of cottage industry. Okay. Now, what is cheese? It is partially degraded and concentrated milk. So, what is cheese? Cheese is not completely, it is partially. It is partially degraded and concentrated. Milk fat will be there and milk protein will be there. Water, we will remove it. We will concentrate it, make it into a solid which contains only fat and proteins. Varieties of cheese are there depending upon their texture, depending upon their flavor and depending upon their taste. So, depending on their texture, flavor, okay, and taste, we divide them into 3 types. What are the 3 types? Means the first one we can call it as raw cheese. The second one, third one are ripened cheeses only. Ripened cheese. The third one is also ripened cheese. Now, I am going to give the names of the raw cheese. The raw cheese is called Swiss cheese. It is called royal cheese, or it is also called Swiss cheese. The ripened cheese, one example of ripened cheese is called Roquefort cheese. Roquefort cheese. Another example of ripened cheese is Camembert cheese. Its name is Camembert cheese. Now, this royal cheese is extracted from bacteria. We add a bacteria to get this cheese. The name means it's a bacterial cheese. Whereas this is fungal, we add fungi here. This also is fungi only. We need to give the names, right? The name of this bacteria is Propionibacterium shermani. So, Propionibacterium shermani is the name of our names are far better than these bacterial and fungal names, right? So the name of the bacteria which is involved in making the Swiss cheese is called Propionibacterium shermani. Try to pronounce with me so that you will get familiarity. Pronounce with me, Propionibacterium shermani. Now the name of the fungi which is used in making Roquefort cheese is Penicillium roqueforti. What is it called? Penicillium roqueforti. And the fungi name which is making in Camembert cheese is called Penicillium camemberti. Okay, na? Then, now, what do you mean by raw cheese? Raw cheese means it is hard. Ripened cheese, as it see, raw fruit will be hard. Ripened fruit will be soft, like that. So this raw cheese, it is hard. Whereas this one will be semi-hard. And this one will be soft. Why is it hard? Because the moisture content here is less than 40%. What is the moisture content here? The moisture content, how much is less than 40% here? Whereas the moisture content here is more than 45% here. It is more than 45%. More than 75% there. So the moisture content is more than 75%. Since the moisture is more, it is soft. Okay. Now, Swiss cheese characteristic feature is big holes on the cheese. Now, Swiss cheese, if you see Tom and Jerry shows, they will show you, right? In Tom and Jerry shows, they will show you big cheese, like Jerry will be behind this cheese slice, right? Right? So, the Swiss cheese has a characteristic feature, right? Big holes, right? So, I showed you big holes. Now, these big holes is because of large carbon dioxide production. It produces too much of carbon dioxide and that will make big holes. This is a characteristic feature of Swiss cheese or royal cheese. Whereas coming to ripened cheese and these two ripened cheese, the carbon dioxide will be very less. Means the holes are small. Here also, the holes are small. Means the amount of carbon dioxide is less. Here also carbon dioxide is less. Now raw fruit, if you smell it, it will not give any smell. Whereas ripened fruit gives smell. So like that, this raw cheese will not have any flavor. But these two will have particular flavor. So they are rich in flavor. This is also rich in flavor. Whereas this one, no flavor. So children, I completed all the products which are there in NCERT related to 10.1. What is that? Microorganisms in household products. Altogether, I think we have seen 7. What are the 7? First one is idli dosa, curd, bread, toddy, fermented fish, fermented soya bean, fermented bamboo and cheese. 8 we saw. Hope the content is informative. Wait for the next class where we'll talk about microorganisms in making industrial products. If the content is informative, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.